Hello and welcome. This is my Utah Beach foobar scenario for Flames of War. And this is my setup here. We have, just giving a quick overview of the terrain here and all along the coastline there. And oh look, the landing craft are there, almost ready to go. So, what's the idea behind this scenario? The Americans are assaulting with an assault company and backup. We'll talk about that in a moment. By turn 12, the idea is that they would get this objective and this objective. Now, I want to point out the Germans are kind of not okay with that idea. And the Germans, this is a Beach Grenadier company. There are 3 platoons. One platoon is deployed on the table. That would be right about here in the center. I have a pillbox with a 50mm AT gun in there. Okay. Now I also happen to have some nice fortifications here as well. I have the short-barreled 75mm guns ready to go. Now I also have some mortars, machine gun Tobruk pits, a French turret, and of course with some mines, barbed wire, and again another mortar, and our white platoon spread throughout this area here, which it also has 2 heavy machine guns, 1 Panzerschreck, and they are armed with Panzerfausts. The company command is in this demolished hamlet here. Okay, any reinforcements for the Germans? Well, they do have 4 81mm mortars, and they also have 2 platoons coming in, and they're armed similarly to the platoons here, to the 1 platoon here. Okay, so with that, okay, let's take a quick look at the American deployment. I have got 1 landing craft that has 3 M7 priests, thanks to the IV card. I have 1 platoon here of assault, another platoon of assault. Now the company commander's not going in the first wave. And then I've got the veteran Sherman tank company. These guys actually were the first to land on Utah Beach, so I want to keep it relatively historical. This is also why I did not allow the Germans any vehicles, because there weren't any in Utah Beach at that time. So just to give you an idea here about how things are, this is the sea zone, and you got a line there. This is the surf zone. Okay, these are anti-tank obstacles. The tanks just can't move through it. This is the beach. This would be the seawall. There's only 1 entrance there for the seawall, and oh my gosh, I've got pre-ranged markers in there from the Germans. Wow, I'm shocked. I've got some barbed wire, got a minefield, and I got some Germans waiting for them. So, with that, we're going to start the preliminary bombardment and get this thing going. So we are at the end of German turn 1. What happened? Well, they drifted and they ended up going back to sea for these 2. The DD tanks as well. Only 1 landing craft made it through and disgorged the red platoon right in the middle. Oh. The German pillbox opened up and, well, didn't do anything to those guys. Meanwhile, the only German unit that managed to unpin itself is the 75mm unit way over there. Otherwise, everybody now is still pinned down. This is only the beginning. Stay tuned for more exciting adventures. Okay, German turn 2 has been concluded. There have been reinforcements. Right over here, we got a Beach Grenadier group coming in, tooled up, just like the other Beach Grenadier group. The Germans did not let the insults go by. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Our 75mm guns opened up. Forget the prearranged, opened up on here. And, well, they pinned them. That's better than nothing. We lost a mortar in the last turn, as you guys know, but we have another mortar over here who opened up over here. Who opened up over there. And this time resulted in the destruction of a stand, and the red platoon has been pinned down. Meanwhile, the Grenadier heavy machine guns have now opened up on here, and that resulted in the loss of another American stand. So that's been the hot action that's been happening. What is this reinforcing platoon coming in? Well, the idea is they're going to come in and they're going to reinforce and secure this sector. Okay, these guys and the mortars, I'm going to be depending on them. Oh, I forgot. The 50mm AT gun tried to open fire on these priests on the beach and missed. I mean, that is just a straight down the alley shot, and they missed. So that's it for turn 2. Up next, what are the Americans going to do? I would suppose try to unpin themselves. All right, catch you on the flip side, Flames of War fans. Okay, the end of American turn 2. This actually does take a while to resolve. Lots of firing opportunities for the Americans. The mortars from these platoons decided to fire on here. The 2 M7 priests decide to fire there. The idea is to take out that Beach Grenadier platoon. And at this point, they did pin the platoon. The Germans did lose a stand. Meanwhile, American fire along the beach wall pinned these guys. And these guys over here were ineffective. The Shermans have been working their way up the beach. The platoon commander's still not quite there offshore. This guy is not floated back. This guy is floated back, so I can bring in some more reserves on the next American turn. I'm not quite sure what I plan to do yet on that. Meantime, the platoon commander of the priests is still a little shy getting out of the landing craft. It keeps failing the cross test. For some miserable experience, and these guys decide to fire on the platoon, Beach Grenadier platoon. And that's about it. It could be worse. I was hoping the Americans could get some better results, but the Germans losing a stand and being pinned and pinning the Tobruk will go with it. Meanwhile, this Sherman here tried to fire on the French tank turret here. That just did not work. So that's it for American turn 2. And welcome back. We are at the end of German turn 3. And to quote William Dafoe's character in Boondock Saints, there was a firefight! And it was indeed. While this Grenadier platoon did not unpin, the Germans got reinforcements, okay, and those reinforcements came along the same side as the Grenadiers, and that would be the 81mm mortar guys over here, and trust me, they laid down a stream of fire on the beach with these guys. And while they were able to put a marker there, and that's all they did that turn. Meanwhile, these guys and the mortars have been doing some hurting on this poor platoon here. The red platoon has been taking a lot of casualties. They've been getting a lot of attention, and they have been whittled down. At this point, they're still there, but I don't know if they're going to last a whole lot longer. This American platoon is still pinned. The 50 mil AT gun, fired on these guys, hit one, managed to bail out this one. I mean, short of you got to go up there and flamethrower the sucker, I don't know how else you're going to take it out. Because nothing seems to be working, which, hey, that matches with real life. These guys were left unscathed. The heavy machine guns here, with these machine guns here, they let this group have it, along with some mortar fire as well. So yeah, it's been kind of nasty this turn. Well, a number of American stands have been removed. Wow. So what are the Americans going to be doing? Unpin, that would be priority number one, and get to the wall. Get to the wall as fast as you can, because that's where you're going to get your bulletproof cover. Okay, this thing has got to get off. This has got to cross safely onto the beach so I can free up this landing craft. This landing craft is ready to bring in reinforcements. The big question is, where do I want to put the reinforcements? Yeah, that's a debatable question, but I'll let you guys go for it. Stay tuned. Okay, we are at the end of American Turn 3. Yeah, there's some disappointments, very little rewards, so let's just do this. This landing craft tried to land, they went off board. They're going to try again next turn. This landing craft, well, just did not get off the beach. This landing craft did get off the beach. And then as we work our way through, this platoon commanding Sherman is still stuck out there. What ho, our priests have now landed. We still have one that's bailed out. We got the Shermans that moved here. They did some shooting. They did a little bit of shooting along with the infantry, and they basically took out this one here. This Tobruk. The German turret also was taken out. Meanwhile, these guys have moved up and they have laid down a steady stream of fire, ultimately to no effect. Naval gunfire support was there. My company commander, my assault company commander, was trying to call it in, and they couldn't range in if their lives depended on it, for crying out loud. So that's it for American Turn 3. Let's see how the Germans respond. End of American Turn 4. While these guys unpinned themselves, these guys did not remount. These guys failed to unpin. Despite the re-roll, I got a new captain now. And at this point, this landing craft tried to come in and floated off stream. So these guys are bringing in the 81mm mortars. These two landing craft have unbeached themselves, and they're going to be bringing in more troops. Fire has been ineffective. That's it. Nothing else. There was no naval gunfire support. Probably these guys will be eliminated, or these guys will be eliminated, and then a replacement's going to be coming in per D-Day rules. That's it. Okay, we're at the end of American Turn 4. Nothing really exciting happened. These guys did not unpin. These guys did not remount. These guys were fine. They fired at the Beach Grenadier platoon here, at least for the mortars. The mortars were kind of effective, even though I had to re-roll hits. Took out a few stands there. And that's it for American Turn 4. Okay, German Turn 5. Ignore this pile. This is like the casualty pile. The red platoon has moved forward, as have the mortars. There was more fighting here between these guys. Got these guys pinned. And 2 out of 3 priests have received their special. gift from these guys here in the bunker. So let's see what happens in the next turn. Alright, here we are, end of American turn 5. I went ahead, the platoon that was on the seawall there, I destroyed them to bring them back here, and now they have landed. I've also landed the 81mm mortar section. It's debatable about destroying the white platoon and bring them back on another turn. Questionable at this point. The support group here, they have landed and they have moved up. The Shermans have been moving up. They have been firing. They have pinned these guys, nearly blew them up. Not quite, though. Attacks have been made here by mortars. No effect. American gunfire, machine gun fire has taken out a couple of the German heavy machine guns because they didn't have a chance to dig in yet. Meanwhile, on this half of the beach, with mortars that are there, they fired on here and they took out another German HMG stand. Other than that, everything else has been ineffective. I have now 2 landing craft that are available. One did get off the beach. This one has not. So we are now going into German turn 6. So here we are at the end of American turn 6. I'm telling you, an actor or an actress in Hollywood can get a better break than the Americans on this table. Another platoon was deliberately destroyed so we could bring them in with the landing craft. And guess what? Thanks to the current, they're not on this sector of Utah Beach. We'll try again next turn. Let's see. Actions that have not resulted in a whole lot. These guys fired at one of the Tobruks and missed. The 81mm mortar decided to bombard here. It only succeeded in pinning this one Tobruk. Fire from the Shermans onto the howitzers here has been ineffective. The mortar here has managed to pin these guys down. That's it. There just hasn't even machine gun fire. It hits, but they're passing their they fail to saves, but the firepower test, well, you need a 6 for crying out loud. So right now, this is the end of turn 6. We're going into turn 7. Germans have no more reinforcements, whereas the Americans, well, we want to bring them in, don't we? All right, stay tuned, Flames of War fans. It's not over. End of turn 7, German turn 7. The red platoon has moved forward on up towards the church. Okay, had to move a piece there. These guys decide to open up on here and, well, pinned them down. These guys lost their platoon commander. The Tobruks decided to fire and, well, they took out whatever was left here. The AT gun fires and just bails out this M7. Well, at least I've got 2 more platoons coming in for the assault. But this is looking bad, and naval gunfire support has not helped the Americans. So we'll see what happens in American turn 7. End of German turn 8. Over here, the Beach Grenadiers moved from the woods to here. One of the heavy machine guns took position on the church. Another one will be taking in the second, based off of the windows. The 81mm mortar platoon decided to dig in and not shoot. These guys continued to bombard over here, along with the mortar from the Tobruk, causing lots of damage here and pinning everybody. AT gun, bunker, blew up a Sherman, Tobruk's, and some Beach Grenadiers. Fired on the white platoon, losing only one mortar team, which was the only mortar team, and that's it. Soon we'll see American Turn 8. End of American Turn 8. Naval gunfire came through. The captain on the beach called it right onto here and took out one of the howitzers, or mini howitzer, or mini artillery gun, whatever you want to call it. These guys fired. These guys fired. The red platoon has landed. And their objective is to scramble up the beach. These guys also fired, but to no effect. This is the only good thing that has happened this turn. All right, that's it for American Turn 8. Let's see what happens. Okay, we're at the end of German Turn 9. Beach Grenadiers have moved a little bit further. We now have 2 HMGs in this tower. We got a team that's moving around the back of the church, so you guys can see. The mortar fired over here, no effect. The firing over here on the white platoon, nobody, no casualties. Meanwhile, the AT did nothing, and firing on those guys there, the captain with the from the heavy machine gun position, no effect. That's it. Here we are at the end of American Turn 9. What a turn this has been. The red platoon has moved forward, up over the wall, started to lay some fire in there. The white platoon also fired. The flamethrower became useful and took out this Tobruk. How beautiful that is. Meanwhile, the Shermans over here fired at the mortar. That didn't do any good. These guys, at the moment, they're pinned, so that makes them a lot more difficult to deal with things. Okay? And I might dissolve the blue platoon and have them come back in as reinforcements. They've been pretty much shattered. But the big thing that has happened, we finally got naval gunfire support, landed it over here, and resulting in the last destruction of the mortar Tobruk. So now that means for the Germans, in the last couple of turns, they had 1, 2, 3 template weapons. Now 2 of them are gone. The last template weapon that we have, I know it sounds 40K-ish, but it is what it is. It is artillery. Okay, it's these 81mm mortars over here. Let's see what's going to happen for German Turn 10. End of German Turn 10. The white Beach Grenadier platoon did a little bit of shifting here to shore up the line. These guys, along with the remaining Tobruks, fired on here. They lost a couple of stands. These guys lost a stand. And the mortars were able to fire. The 81mm mortars from over on that side were able to fire on here, and that caused a little bit of pain and suffering. They lost another stand. That's it. The fire is starting to slacken. We'll see what happens for American Turn 10. Okay, we're at the end of American Turn 10. And yeah, I'm actually giving you a different perspective of the battlefield. This is the other end of the beach, because that's really where the action has been happening. The landing craft dropped off. Another support boat. I destroyed those guys on the other end of the field to bring them back. So that's 4 platoons that have been destroyed in this game in order to come and bring them back. The gamble with the red platoon paid off. The white platoon is hanging on here, very small in number. There is a mortar back here that belongs to the red platoon. The support section has landed, and they are going to be moving up. Meanwhile, the flamethrower here has had no effect on the Tobruk. There's 2 Tobruks left. You still have a pillbox there. off on the other end of the beach there, just showing you guys for a quick moment. We still have 3 Shermans. They have started to shoot at other targets to make things a little bit more difficult for the Germans. The German fire is slackening. Mortar fire has resulted in a stand being lost. The white Beach Grenadiers here have been pinned. That's it for American turn 10. We move on to turn 11. Okay, the end of German turn 11. The 81mm mortars struck here. They killed the company commander. AT guns fired on here. On the white platoon, no effect. The 2 remaining Tobruks, along with what was left of the platoon, fired on there, resulting in some casualties. The white platoon is barely hanging on. Might be a smarter thing. I gotta work with what I have because the game doesn't go beyond turn 12. It's crunch time for the Americans. But at least they still have 2 more chances. It's not over. Okay, we are at the end of American turn 11. Red platoon moved forward along with the flamethrowers. They managed to take out this Tobruk. The Shermans, 2 of the 3 Shermans on the other end of the beach fired on here. There was no effect. The mortar on the beach that wasn't pinned fired. There was no effect. And for the naval gunfire support, we tried to range in and we rolled on the 3 attempts a 1 every single time. Alright. Could be a nail biter, guys. It could go either way. But right now, it's not looking good for the Americans. They need to have some serious luck in the next turn. And that's without being solo play cheating on it. Alright, guys. Catch you on the flip side for German turn 12. End of German turn 12. It's depressing for the Americans. Fire from the bunker, the platoon here. The remaining Tobruk has succeeded in whittling down the red platoon. The platoon leader is out. Over here on the beach, mortar fire resulted in taking out the platoon leader of the support group. Wow. Fire from this Beach Grenadier platoon here whittled down our little attacking force here. So, yeah. The Americans are probably not going to win this, but nevertheless, we're going to give it one last try. Last try, guys. Here we go. End of American turn 12. It has been a slugfest. Our platoons were able to rally, and then they went forward shooting. The shooting was not particularly effective, but the close assault, this is like a last-ditch effort from the white platoon here because their machine guns stayed behind. Here, the red platoon, along with the red platoon's flamethrower, they went in and against all odds, they pushed the Germans off the objective, away from the objective. The flamethrower here went in and torched the bunker. Yes, nothing like an auto, baby. Nothing like an auto firepower test. Really wonderful. And at that point for the Americans, all the misery that they had gone through, things turned for them. They got this objective, but this turn is not really quite over yet because we have to look at what's going on the other side of the beach. The lieutenant rushed up to join up. There's only one stand left here. This is after all the close assaulting that was done. The Shermans tried to help. That didn't work out very well. This Tobruk was ignored, but they were able to actually drive off the German platoon off the objective. It's over. Turn 12. The Americans got both objectives. They do have troops in the hinterland. And that's the game. Wow. That is the game. So the Americans won an incredible victory on this. And I have to say, this is a very involved scenario. Many, many little details to look at. And I'm sure I messed up on some things. But this was a squeaker. It was a nail biter down to the last dice roll. Because it was either the Americans got 0 objectives, 1 objective, or 2 objectives. And it all boiled down to this turn. Okay guys, that's it. This sector of Utah Beach has been secured. We're now moving inland. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. This is a solo event. I think next time I'll go with a 50-point game instead of a 75-pointer. Alright guys, you take care, have a good day, and God bless.